I picture you in the sun, wondering what went wrong.
What happened to Etan Patz? The 6-year-old boy disappeared as he walked 2 blocks to his school bus stop in Manhattan. The case set in motion a massive search effort and galvanized a movement. Etan Patz became one of the first missing children featured on milk cartons and billboards.
7:55 last Friday morning, Julie Patz says she took her son downstairs. She came back up and watched from this fire escape as he passed down West Broadway toward the bus stop where a group of other children and parents were waiting. She never dreamed he didn't get on that bus, not until 4 o'clock in the afternoon when he failed to return home.
May God's love be with you. I
I hope he's with somebody wiser than he, who will take care of him and is still taking care of him. And if he is, I don't want to hurt you in any way. I don't want to prosecute. I just want whoever you are to bring him home.
But I was caught in between all you wish for and all you need. I picture you fast asleep. A nightmare comes, you can't keep away.
Take a close look at the picture we're going to put up on the screen. This is Etan Patz. I should spell that. E-T-A-N-P-A-T-Z.
Who could not remember that face? It was on every milk carton. I remember hanging out on the pier on Bank Street on the Village, just hanging out with my friends, and the airplanes would go by with the batters. Etan Patz, he had a little boy, I mean, it was just everywhere. It was everywhere.
'Cause if I find my own way, how much will I find? And if I find...
There was no crime scene. They couldn't go dust for fingerprints. They didn't even know where he disappeared. At a certain point, it just becomes, there's nothing else to do.
We have no intention of prosecuting. We just hope that they treat him nicely and get him back to us somehow, anyhow.
I still gag with the fear that this child must have felt. When he realized he was betrayed by an adult.
Our 6-year-old boy is a loving, trusting child, and the adult world represents a formidable force to him. When an adult says something, it has all the weight of law. We're not talking about just some abstract child. That he's our child. He's super cute. He's really terrific. He's about as nice as a little boy could be.
As a person can be.
He's my ball player and cars,
extremely
trucks.
perceptive and sensitive and caring of other people. Incredibly so.
After all this time, do you think your son is still alive?
I believe he's alive, and I will continue to do so till we get some answers.
We've survived. We still have hope. We're going to carry on. We're not quitting. So if it takes 7 years, it'll have to take 7 years.
Wait as long as we have to, and we'll keep looking.
And then we'll wait longer.
Then we have to.
May God's love be with you.
In 1985, 6 years after the disappearance of Etan Patz, Assistant United States Attorney Stuart R. Gabral received Etan's case and identified Jose Ramos, a convicted child sexual abuser who had been a friend of Etan's former babysitter, as the primary suspect. In 1982, multiple boys had accused Ramos of trying to lure them into drain pipes in the area where Ramos was living. Police searched the drain pipe and they found photographs of Ramos and young boys who strongly resembled Etan. Ramos claimed all of these boys were simply his friends. Gabriel learned that Ramos was in custody in Pennsylvania in connection with the unrelated child molestation case. In 1990, Gabriel was deputized as a deputy state attorney general in Pennsylvania to help prosecute a case against Ramos for sexually abusing children, and in hopes of obtaining more information about the disappearance of Etan Patz. When first questioned, Ramos stated that on the day of Etan's disappearance, he had taken a young boy who he later saw on television back to his apartment to rape. Ramos stated that he was 90% sure it was the same boy from television who had disappeared. However, Ramos never used Etan's name. He also claimed that he had put the boy on a subway. In 1991, 12 years after the disappearance of Etan Patz, a jailhouse informant told Gabriel and FBI agent Mary Galligan that Ramos told him that he knew what happened to Etan. He revealed that Ramos even drew a map of Etan's bus route and indicated that he knew Etan's bus stop was the third one on that route. However, due to lack of evidence and no recovery of Etan's body, authorities were unable to prosecute Ramos, and Ramos was never charged with Etan's murder. Etan was declared legally dead on June 19, 2001. Stan and Julie Patz pursued and won a civil case against Ramos in 2004. They were awarded a sum of $2 million, which they've never collected. Every year on Etan's birthday and the anniversary of his disappearance, Stan Patz sends Ramos a copy of Etan's missing child poster with the same message written on the back. "What did you do to my little boy?" Ramos has always denied that he killed Etan. Ramos served a 20-year prison sentence in the State Correctional Institution in Dallas, Pennsylvania for child molestation. He was released from prison on November 7, 2012. Soon after his release, he was arrested on a Megan's Law violation. On May 25th of 2010, 31 years after the disappearance of Etan Patz, the Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. officially reopened Etan's case in hopes of bringing closure to a 33-year-old mystery. April 19th of 2012, 33 years after the disappearance of Etan Patz, the FBI and the NYPD began excavating the SoHo basement of 127B Prince Street, located near the Patz family home. This was also located on the route Etan would have taken to the bus stop. Othniel Miller, who had befriended 6-year-old Etan, became the center of the investigation. Investigators worked off a tip from the week prior that led them to Miller. Investigators believed that Etan was in Miller's basement the night before he went missing, and that Miller had given Etan $1 as a salary for helping him with his business. A cadaver dog was used in Miller's basement and had gotten a positive hit for possible human remains. The basement had been resurfaced with fresh concrete at or shortly after Etan's disappearance. The basement was searched in 1979, but the floor was never dug up. Papers, strands of hair, and other possible bits of forensic evidence had been unearthed during the excavation of the basement, but nothing was conclusive. Miller had been accused by his ex-wife of raping his 10-year-old niece, but his stepson came to his defense. No charges were filed against Miller for the alleged rape. In 1979, Miller's basement was both a workshop and a children's playroom. Since there were no parks near SoHo, parents worked together and installed tile and painted the walls for the kids to play in. Miller's basement would have been familiar territory to the Patz family. Etan's older sister Shira was a playgroup member there. Although Miller was never named a suspect in the initial investigation, police did say they searched and examined the basement, but didn't take it any further because he had a credible alibi at the time. In the end, nothing was found, and Othniel Miller was cleared as a suspect. On May 24, 2012, New York Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly announced that a man was in custody who implicated himself into Etan Patz's disappearance. This man was 51-year-old Pedro Hernandez. According to a 2009 book about Etan's case titled After Etan, Etan had a dollar bill and told his parents he planned on buying a soda to drink for lunch while he walked to the bus stop. In 1979, Hernandez was an 18-year-old convenience store worker in the neighborhood at the Bodega. Statements by Hernandez's sister and a leader from the charismatic Christianity group in New Jersey indicated that Hernandez may have publicly confessed in the presence of a fellow parishioner in the early 1980s to murdering Etan. According to Hernandez's sister, it was an open family secret that he had confessed in church. Hernandez's brother-in-law was the one who reached out to investigators to look into Hernandez in connection to the Etan Patz disappearance. Etan's mother, Julie, took the stand at the trial, recalling that on the day of May 25, 1979, Etan woke up early and excited. He had been pestering his parents about allowing him to walk to the school bus stop by himself. He wanted to be independent, just like his older sister. Stan and Julie Patz finally agreed. This was the first time he walked to the school bus stop by himself. He had a $1 bill to buy a soda for lunch at the bodega, and he held it tightly in his left hand as he left. Hernandez admitted that while working at the bodega on May 25, 1979, he saw young Etan Patz standing in front of the store. He asked Etan if he would like something to drink. Etan nodded yes and followed Hernandez to the basement. Once stepping into the basement, Etan stopped just in front of Hernandez, and this is when Hernandez states he strangled 6-year-old Etan Patz. Hernandez stated he threw Etan's book bag over the freezer and put Etan's body into a bag and finally into a box. Hernandez then threw the box over his shoulder, carried him 1.5 blocks away from the store, leaving him at the entryway to another basement. The next morning, around 10 a.m., Hernandez returned to the spot where he left Etan's body, but the box was gone. Hernandez states that he believed Etan to be alive while he carried him that 1.5 blocks away, and even claims that Etan could possibly be alive to this day. Hernandez was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, but he remembers details about that day that convinced investigators. The hallway where Hernandez left Etan did not have a door at the time of Etan's disappearance, but now there is a door in that exact location. Hernandez was found guilty and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for the abduction and murder of Etan Patz. A Manhattan judge reversed the $2 million civil judgment on Jose Ramos. The Patz family requested the civil case to be thrown out, so Hernandez could not use this during his second trial. Etan's body has never been recovered, and he's still missing after 42 years. If anyone from SoHo, New York saw anything or holds any more useful information into finding Etan, please come forward. The monster may be behind locked doors, but 6-year-old Etan Patz is still lost and alone in this big world. But he will never be forgotten. Every May 25th, the anniversary of Etan's disappearance, has been commemorated by President Ronald Reagan as National Missing Children's Day. No child, no matter how long they are missing, should be forgotten. Always remember Etan Patz.
I am truly relieved, and I'll tell you, it's about time. It really is. Now I know what the face of evil looks like. The Patz family has waited a long time, but we finally have found some measure of justice for our wonderful little boy, Etan.